So you're interested in buying a new construction home, or maybe you're already under contract for one and you've got this impending blue tape walkthrough that you're hearing about that's coming up. So when the home is near completion, you've got a series of walkthroughs, and the blue tape walkthrough is probably one of the most important ones. And there's a lot of reasons why. And so if you have one coming up, or you're interested in buying new construction, you just want to know what a blue tape walkthrough is, what does it entail, and what do you need to know before you get into it, you're going to want to tune into this video. I'm going to go over the top 3 things you should consider and know about before you get into your blue tape walkthrough. And we're going to get into that right now. All right, so first and foremost, before we get into the tips involved in what you should know going into a blue tape walkthrough, let's talk about what a blue tape walkthrough is, otherwise known as a first walkthrough or an orientation style walkthrough. It goes by many names and also could be confusing because some builders use orange tape or green tape or other colored tape. And so it's usually commonly referred to as a blue tape walkthrough because what you're going to be doing in this process is it's going to be your first walkthrough of the home when the home is completely done. So I mean, everything is up, everything is finished, appliances are on, utilities are connected. Ideally, you're able to get the home inspected prior to this, and we're going to get further into that in this video. But what this blue tape walkthrough entails is the buyers, you in this case, buying the home. Hopefully you have a realtor that's representing you in this that can join you. And then you're going to walk with the builder's representative, whether you call them a superintendent or a project manager. Usually they're called a PM for short, but they're basically the person that is on the ground facilitating the build of these homes, hiring and monitoring the process of the subcontractors. And so this is the person you're going to be walking the home with on these blue tape walkthroughs. And so usually on average they happen anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks prior to you closing on the home. And so like I said, it's completed. And in an ideal situation, you order a third-party inspection anywhere from 3 to 5 days before that first blue tape walkthrough. And then this is the first of 2. Typically, you're going to have this walkthrough, which is kind of a blue tape orientation style walkthrough. And then you're going to have a final walkthrough, which is just literally either the day before or the day of closing usually, where you're just kind of making sure the home is satisfactory and all of those items that were covered in the blue tape walkthrough were taken care of and you're satisfied. So going into the blue tape, it's kind of an orientation style where a lot of times the builder is going to basically inform you about the home. They're going to walk you through the home on all the maintenance involved, where your water heaters are at, your HVAC systems, irrigation, all that stuff. So a lot of it's show and tell, but the other part of it is you're going to get a chance to go over and inspect, like an inspection, or if you haven't had one, you're going to go through the home and you're going to start marking up with blue tape anything you kind of see cosmetically deficient with the home. And then obviously anything that isn't working with the home, you're going to be discussing with the builder where that, that inspection is key to have that report. And so if you do have the inspection report, you're going to be reviewing that in person with them. Otherwise, it's going to be up to you as a buyer to visually inspect the home thoroughly, exterior and interior, on this walkthrough, and then just marking up with blue tape anything deficient. So we're going to go through best practices in this walk, what kind of expectations to set, and like I said, those top 3 tips you're going to want to know before going into this walkthrough so that you can have the best, most efficient walkthrough and have the best, most finished home, and everything meets your standards and your expectations and you're satisfied when you go to move in on closing day. Now, before we get into those 3 tips, real quickly, if this is your first time to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for viewing, and I hope you get some value out of this content. If you could do me a huge favor and hit that like button, comment, hit the notification bell, and subscribe so you get notified on all things I post weekly on North Houston. Now, if you don't already know who I am, my name is Mark Archer, and I'm a local realtor born and raised out here in the North Houston area, helping people just like you relocate out here to Houston. So if that describes you, if you're interested in moving out here, please click the link below in the comments, or you can also call me, shoot me a text, or send me an email so we can get connected and see if Houston's a good fit. So now let's jump into tip number 1 on what you need to know before you go into these blue tape walkthroughs. All right, so tip number 1, I don't care what the PM tells you or the builder tells you, you're going to want to order a third-party inspection. So if you are going into this unrepresented, a lot of times I can see some predatory style convincing or negotiating with the project manager or the builder on not ordering an inspection. And what they're going to tout is the home is going through quite the inspection and vetting process, which is true. But you got to understand that a lot of these inspection companies they hire have contracts with the builder. They do a bunch of them. It's about production, and they're just going to hit the like low-hanging fruit stuff. And you're not really going to formally get a report if you don't order an inspection yourself, unless maybe you ask for it. And so I just think for anywhere from $300 to $500 on average is what a normal inspection will cost. I don't think you need like mold inspection or termite inspections unless you want to. It's a brand new home. New homes are typically treated for insects and termites in terms of what they're putting into the home when they build it. And so those are kind of unnecessary and maybe an upsell by an inspector. But I think if you just get a general inspection, what this is going to mean is they're going to go through with a fine-tooth comb all your mechanicals, the roof, the foundation, windows, structure, everything, every square inch. And it's a professional that you hired to do the job for you. And of course, they're non-biased because you hired them and they're not hired by the builder. So I just think it gives you peace of mind. And despite what the builders will tell you on all the inspections and code and permits they go through, which is true, this will give you a report, and it ultimately gives you leverage in your hand and something that you can reference while you're going through the house. Because if you don't get the inspection, then it's really going to be up to you as a buyer to walk this home on this blue tape walkthrough and visually inspect everything and just kind of hope at face value things like the mechanicals and the roof that you can't really see or test yourself without professional equipment, that it works properly and everything's good. And so, like I said, having an inspection report is going to give you a lot of leverage. It's going to give you things to reference while you're in this blue tape walkthrough. And so one of the things, a couple more tips related to the inspection and getting it done is make sure you get it done anywhere from 3 to 5 days prior. So as soon as the home allows you to, make sure you convey this to the sales rep and the builder that you want to get an inspection when it's ready. Now we want all utilities on, we want appliances in so that we can have everything tested. And so once those things are in place and you can order one that can come out, get the inspection, you'll have the report, and you're going to want to review that so that you intimately know it beforehand and you kind of know exactly what you're already looking for, your talking points and concerns that are on the report. I will tell you that these can be scary looking. Every house, whether it's a brand new home or a resale, inspection reports look scary. What we're really looking for on these is just deal breakers or any kind of major things wrong with the structure, the roof, the mechanics, things of that nature. Typically with new construction, what I notice is about 95% of it is cosmetic. But my inspector that I work with, who I've been working with for years, if you go with my recommendation, he's going to go through a lot of those blue tape items. So he's going to knock it for any kind of mortar missing, settlement cracks in the drywall, caulking, and so not only is this documented and there's a picture taken, but he also notes where it's at. And so then when you go into the walkthrough with this inspection report in hand, you can kind of reference it and look for these spots with the PM, and you can talk about all of the expectations of what you expect to be fixed. So having an inspection done, despite what the PM may tell you if it's necessary or not, I think it's worth the relatively low fee when it comes to buying a home to just order one. Have that peace of mind that someone non-biased is coming in, a professional who can test everything, look at everything, drone the roof, and give you a thorough report with leverage and bullet, like literally a punch list of everything that needs to be done before you even walk that home. And then make sure you utilize that report to reference and talk about, bring up the talking points, bring up your concerns while you're there. That way you can ensure you set the right expectations and you know exactly what needs to be fixed before heading into your final close or your final walk date. All right, so tip number 2, don't hesitate to ask. There's really no dumb question, especially if you're a first-time home owner. There is a lot that's going to be covered in the orientation. It can kind of be information overload on these blue tape walkthroughs because a large part of it is the PM walking you through their home and pointing out every mechanical and everything from shut-off valves and where they're located and how to use it. So ask questions. Don't hesitate to ask. You may not even remember, but it's just good to ask anything that comes to mind, and there's really no dumb question. With that said, don't be afraid to ask for repairs to be done. You'd be surprised where I kind of have everyone on a different spectrum, from new buyers that are just so excited to buy their first home. They're kind of walking through their home with rose-covered glasses and everything is perfect and nothing can be wrong. And then you have the others where this is, not their first rodeo. They've bought new construction before, or maybe they're very detail oriented. And so they're looking at the home through a microscope and they want it to be perfect, right? And so there's kind of a healthy balance in between. You kind of want to go in with your game face and really start to set expectations. And I'll get more into that in my next tip here in a minute. But with that said, as you go through everything, don't hesitate to ask even small repairs. This is your home. This is your investment. You are going to live here for the foreseeable future. In some cases, 10, 15, 20 plus years. You're going to raise your family here. You're going to make memories here. And this is ultimately your investment. So even if it's a small little chip of paint near the doorknob, don't hesitate to ask to have them fix it. One, you're buying a new construction home. It should be turnkey, move-in ready. And even if you're processing in your head that this is a rather cheap fix and you don't want to disturb the builder, maybe he's too busy to worry about it, don't hesitate to ask. Seriously. Again, be reasonable. Going into this, I would say a good practice when walking and blue taping all your cosmetic deficiencies is if you can see the blemish of caulking or drywall or settlement cracks or texture or whatever it is you notice, if you can notice it from about 3 to 6 feet away from the wall, kind of like that social distancing rule, right? If you can see it from that point of view, that far away, it's probably worth taping. But if you have to get within a couple of inches or inside of a foot to see it, you're probably being a little too nitpicky, because you do have to realize these homes are imperfect. They were built by humans. And I notice even the $1 million homes typically have the same subcontractors building the home, and you're going to notice similar imperfections. There's just, usually higher grade appliances and better finishes and things of that nature in those $1 million plus homes. And so at the end of the day, they're all sticks and brick homes is what we call them out here in Houston. And, there is a happy medium to have that expectation. And so just know that there are some things within relative requests that can be done very easily. And so never hesitate to ask. It is your home. It is your investment. And don't keep quiet. Go ahead and be loud about what you want and what you expect out of the house on that final walk. All right, final tip here, number 3, I'm going to say do not sign off till you are 100% satisfied with the home. So I know that's in the final walk, and that is to happen after this, but what's important here is to have the mindset of what you expect and what needs to be done before you sign off, because once you sign off on that final walkthrough, they literally have no more obligation contractually to do anything for you on the home. And so you want to make sure that in this walkthrough in the blue tape, on this third tip, keeping that in mind on not being willing to sign off on that walkthrough, that's the leverage you have over the builder, right? And so if you make reasonable requests in this blue tape walkthrough and you align expectations and you utilize the inspection report and everything I've talked about as leverage to create that punch list that you sign off on, there's going to be this blue tape walkthrough where you are oriented with the home. They go over the warranties, they go over all the maintenance, and then you blue tape everything, and then you reference the inspection report. And so in this entire process, you want to kind of have your game face on, right? Like I said, a lot of times some of my clients are just so excited to buy their first house. They're looking through rose-colored glasses. They're not really marking many things up. And so I kind of am doing that for them to ensure that they are just happy and satisfied, and maybe things they might notice on the final walk that they're not noticing today because it's not, the closing day. And I'm kind of helping to lead the way and demonstrate too. I kind of lead by example when my clients just don't know what to tape, what's too petty, what's not petty enough, and that happy in between. If my buyers are not able to do the walk, I treat it as if it's my own home. And so I'm marking up anything that I just notice that jumps out at me. And of course, anything that I notice is deficient as well. And so in this process, I would just say kind of have your game face on, be kind of bullish. Sometimes you need to be in the driver's seat is the best way to put it, instead of the passenger seat. If the PM notices that you're inexperienced or you're just happy and excited and you're not really in the driver's seat, they're going to take advantage, because you got to understand these project managers, they're probably building anywhere from 10 to 25 plus homes at a time. And they're going to have buyers on every end of the spectrum, with some of them being super anal and really like perfectionists and noticing every little thing. And then people that just really are passive, first-time home buyers, maybe without a realtor, that just are being taken advantage of and or are kind of naive about the process, right? And they're going to take advantage of that because you're making their life easier if they have less of a punch list to do, and it's just going to be an easier walk. And they're going to walk all over you, pun not intended, on that last walkthrough and kind of just force you to sign that final walkthrough and kind of state verbiage like, oh, this has to be done, you need to sign off on it. But what I will say is do not sign off on that until you are 100% satisfied. And the only exception I even make with clients is if there's little things that, they did everything that we asked on the major side, there's no, deficiencies happening with the mechanicals or the roof, and all of that's been proven to be done. And it's just minor little cosmetic stuff, maybe something that happened between now and then, maybe something we didn't notice and tell them to do. If you can get that on like an affidavit that says they'll fix it, and it doesn't really feel like you're not deterred from moving in from it, like it's not going to bother you if that's done a couple days later, as long as you get it in writing and you sign off on them doing that and it's not something major, then I would say, okay, that's the only exception I'll make. But otherwise, do not sign off on that final walkthrough until you are 100% satisfied and ready to move in, because that is the leverage you hold over the PM. They will be reviewed. They're going to ask for a survey at closing on the PM, the sales rep, the lender, all that stuff. And so, hold those in your cards, because it puts you in the driver's seat. It gives you leverage, and make sure you hold them accountable for the things that you're asking them to do in this blue tape walkthrough. So keep that in mind. That future mindset is super important when going into that final walk, and that is very critical in this blue tape walkthrough to keep in mind. All right, so to wrap this up, the blue tape walkthrough is clearly a critical walkthrough, and honestly, I feel more important than the final walkthrough, because the final walkthrough is just an easier process. And if everything is done correctly in this blue tape walkthrough, you're setting right expectations, you properly vet the property, you have it inspected, you have a report, you have a punch list agreed upon on what will be done. Relatively speaking, unless the PM or the builder just sucks and they don't do their job and they just whiff it, then you should be relatively having a pretty smooth walk on that final, and everything should be good so that you can go close on the home and ultimately move in, which is the most important thing. So arguably, I feel like this is a more critical walkthrough than the final, even though the final, I guess, is important in that you just need to make sure everything is good. And so these blue tape walkthroughs, you're basically getting oriented with the home. They're going to go through an orientation and a due process of how to maintain things and how to just maintain the home and where everything's located. But also, you want to be doing your due diligence, getting that inspection by a third party, having that report and ensuring you're reviewing it, going over that punch list of what's to be done. And then, of course, cosmetically blue taping anything you see and making sure anything you saw on the report. If you want to go ahead and reiterate that or mark it, you're free to do that. And so that's kind of what a blue tape walkthrough is, or an orientation walkthrough, or a first walkthrough, whatever you want to call it. 6 1 half dozen in the other, they're all the same thing. Now, a couple of other quick little tips that I kind of weren't able to fit into those 3 main things is obviously know your warranties and know how to file a claim. Know those emergency lines as well. Like, there's a difference between a warranty claim that doesn't need to be filed right away, or something that doesn't need to be remedied right away, versus like AC breaking in the middle of the summer, or a leak happening in your plumbing. Obviously, that's an emergency. So know how to file a warranty claim, and know what your warranties are, and then know what those emergency line numbers are for something immediate. The other thing is know where the booklets are. Like, there's usually extra warranty booklets and registration booklets for your appliances and things of that nature. So everything from your HVAC to your dishwasher, your range, and things of that nature are going to have those appliance booklets. Usually the PM will stick it in a drawer. Make sure you know where that is, because it's time of the essence. If you want to file or register those appliances and things of that nature, mechanics, with the serial number, the model number, and things of that nature, you can usually get an extended warranty through the manufacturer. So you'll usually have like a 1 to 3 year, maybe a 2 year on average warranty through the builder on these things. And then you can maybe get 3 to 5 years through the manufacturer directly after that. You need to file or register them before 30 days of like moving in. So make sure you know where those are at, and make sure you register those. Lastly, I would say know where all your like shutoff valves are, how to kind of winterize your like irrigation system. Where's your shutoff valve for gas and water and things of that nature in case something happens, you need to work on something. Just kind of know where those important strategic things are at. Even the smart cabinet panels, usually they're in the utility room or in a closet somewhere, but these are in these newer homes are a cabinet that have anything from Ethernet connections for your internet, fiber optics, security, or even some electrical components to it. This is going to be important. It's kind of the brain of your home, and it's important to know where that's at, so that when your utility people come in and they need access to it, you know exactly where it is and what they're talking about, and you can get them squared away. So those are some really important things to know coming out of the walkthrough, and ultimately before you buy and move into your home. And I truly hope this was helpful for you. I hope you got some value out of this content, and I hope you can go into that blue tape walkthrough on your first, or whether it's your first or your seventh home you're buying, just with a little bit more knowledge and a little bit more working pieces to know before going into it, so that you can strategically get the most out of it and be efficient and have the cleanest final walk when you go to buy that home. Now, if you're still considering like new construction versus resale, check this video out right here. I go over the three main types of new construction out here in Houston that you can choose from, and it's going to kind of go through those options and explain everything. And so maybe that can help categorize you if new construction's right and which kind of new construction is best for you. So I hope you got some value out of this, and I guess I will check you guys on the next video.